Hello there, I'm Scotty and you're not. And we're moving on to Tucker and Dale versus Evil. We have heard about, never saw, till now, and this movie from beginning to end was just fun. Man, it was fun. It was fun. The story is that these two hillbillies are going into the woods for a vacation at this cabin that Tucker, played by Alan Tudyk, had spent all his money on. So he and Dale, played by Tyler Labine, they go up there to relax, but their lives given raided by a bunch of college kids who incorrectly assume that they are hostile. And so when Dale saves one of their friends who accidentally knocks her head and falls into the river, they think she's been kidnapped, so the college kids mount an attack, and what ensues is a massacre of hilarious proportions from beginning to end, and it's just balls to the walls, this movie. So yeah, I basically explained the first part of this movie. Tucker and Dale going up. Tucker has invested all his money into this cabin, and so they've gone up to this cabin for a vacation. He's gonna fix up the cabin apparently, and they see these college kids. Tucker encourages Dale to talk to Katrina Bowden's character Allie, and because one, he's holding a scythe in his hand, and two, he comes off as awkward. He's very awkward. He comes off as kind of homicidal, kind of crazy. So they just sort of walk away from it and get out of there. Now, I should mention the cast. Besides Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk, who you may know from, Alan Tudyk, Firefly and, various animated voice roles. Tyler Labine, you may know from, Escape Room, or I know him from the show Reaper, which is a highly underrated show that only lasted 2 seasons. A future, short-lived to be sure. I just had to get the DVDs, that's all. I think season 2 is a little expensive, but I gotta get them. Don't worry. But, yeah. So, also we have Katrina Bowden, who was, I believe she was in Paranormal Activity 3, and she was in some other things. And then among the other college kids, we have Brandon J. McLaren, who was the Red Ranger, Jack, in Power Rangers SPD, who by this time was probably in his 30s, which is really weird. I think most of them were. I know that Jesse Moss, who plays the actual villain of this film, Chad, was in his 30s. He was in his 30s when he played the character of Jason in Final Destination 3. He was also in Spectacular and other stuff. Ginger Snaps. There's Shaylin Simmons, who was also in Final Destination 3, and she was in the original It miniseries and other things. This other actress was Carly Diggle in Arrow for the first 2 seasons, I think it was. Didn't really go anywhere. Her relationship with... She was John Diggle's sister-in-law, and their relationship didn't really go anywhere. I know, it's really weird. I don't really recognize any of the other actors. But, yeah. So they're out fishing, even though Tucker doesn't want to, or Dale doesn't want to fish. They see Allie, and I do love this line where it's like, "Oh my God, you fell in, Tucker." And he's like, "When someone hits their head and falls in the water, you not yell out my name." So Dale jumps in to save her, and they're like, "Hey, we got your friend," but they think it's all crazy. Earlier on, Chad tells a story of a hillbilly massacre that happened back in the 80s, where a bunch of hillbillies massacred a bunch of people and there was only one survivor. We do come back to that later. It's not just a throwaway thing like the bowling alley story in Cabin Fever. Which, by the way, I think they do reference that, because the next morning when Allie wakes up, Dale comes walking in with a tray of pancakes. And she screams like, "Oh, it's pancakes, pancakes, pancakes! It's just pancakes. You don't like pancakes." I'm like, that's got to be a reference to Cabin Fever because that kid yelling out pancakes. It's got to have some. It's got to. They're in a cabin, middle of the woods, just like Cabin Fever. It's got, you know. But yeah, when they get to the cabin though, earlier in the film, there's signs that something had happened there. So there's something going on. But yeah, every kill in this movie is an accident. We see one of the friends try to go after them, and he skewers himself in a tree. Or he starts running from them, and he skewers himself on a tree. When after they try to mount an attack, and one of the kids goes barreling right into a wood chipper. The other one skewers himself on a piece of wood when he thinks that Dale was trying to make Allie dig her own grave. Now, so when Chad eventually makes it to the thing, because what happens is, like, she begins to understand what's going on. It was all misunderstanding. So they get sheriff. Chuck gets the sheriff, and the sheriff. They establish this loose floorboard piece of wood that has a thing comes swinging down. So the sheriff comes in, and when he puts his hand on it, it swings down, and he dies. Somehow able to stumble out of the cabin and fall down just in front of his car. Meanwhile, Chuck, the guy who got the cops, the sheriff, grabs the sheriff's gun, but there's a safety on it. When he goes to look at it, it goes off in his face and he dies. So they kidnap their dog and say, "Hey, you give us the dog. You give us Allie back, we'll give you the dog." But he just wants to save the dog, so they do, Dale distracts them while Tucker saves the dog. Well, then Tucker becomes the hostage, and they cut off 2 of his fingers. Also, Allie gets knocked out again when the guy skewers himself in the little, she's digging up her grave. So she gets knocked out twice. I don't know, they didn't know how to write her. I don't know. Eventually, they all come together. And Chad sits down for tea, and we establish that he can't have chamomile because it aggravates his asthma. Chamomile tea, because it aggravates his asthma. That's a plot point. And this is where he tells the truth about the Hillbilly Massacre, that his dad was murdered, and his dad didn't realize that his mom was pregnant with him, but his dad was murdered and his mom was forced to watch. She was able to escape. And she was the one survivor. And his mom went nuts, and he was born in an insane asylum, which is probably foreshadowing. And his grandmother told him this whole story. So we don't even know if it's a true story, and then we find out it's not 100% true. But yeah, so there are 4 of these college kids left, including Chad. Or 5 if you count, I guess 5 because you count Allie. So there's 5 left, including Chad and Allie. So the other 3 outside see that it's taking too long, so they bust in with a weed whacker. I think maybe there was another one in there, Naomi, whatever her name is. She's already in there. Bust in with a weed whacker. Dale moves out of the way, and he weed whacks Naomi in the face, but she somehow survives. I think it's Naomi. And then they knock over like a lamp or something, and he gets set on fire because there's gasoline. And they then Shaylin Simmons' character grabs something she thinks is water, but it's actually moonshine, and it sets him on fire. Brandon J. McLaren's character, so he dies. The whole thing goes up in flames, killing Naomi and Shaylin Simmons. While the 3, Tucker, Dale, and Allie escape. But Chad is still alive. So They get in the truck and they drive off, but Dale's not paying attention. They ram into a tree. When Dale comes to, Allie is missing, and it looks like Tucker has been attacked again, and he's laying by the tree. Dale decides he's going to go get Allie, and he is able to get to her and get away from him. No. Is Tucker with him? But at some point, they find out that the story was told wrong, because it turns out that Chad's father was one of the hillbillies, and it turns out he raped Chad's mom, and I guess that's why she was in a mental asylum, because of the ordeal. I don't know. Yeah, he's half hillbilly, so that's why he's kind of psycho. And much like his assumed dead, he's not really 100% dead, but like Dale uses this stuff that's used in chamomile tea to upset his asthma, which knocks him out a window. But we find out later he survived, because at the beginning of the film there's this news crew that are attacked by someone, and we find out, I think it's supposed to be at the end, that it was Chad. Dale visits Tucker in the hospital. They fixed his fingers, but I think they put him on backwards, I think is what they're assuming. And he brought him a PBR. Nasty stuff. My grandpa on my mom's side used to drink that stuff. We had when he died, we all had a PBR. So my sister, she had a bud, she couldn't drink the stuff. I couldn't finish it. It just didn't. I'm not a big beer guy. I'm a softie. I drink wine coolers like Truly or Smirnoff or Mike's. You know, I drink that kind of stuff. It's more my speed. I like the flavors, that kind of thing. But yeah. So then he says, "Oh, I gotta go bowling with her," and he gives her a helmet because she keeps getting knocked out. And he talks to another redneck friend of his. He says, "Oh, you go ask him out. Just be yourself. Just be yourself." So he does that, and we see behind that it causes another misunderstanding. And Dale's like, "Oh, you know what? Not my business." And then he kisses her, and the movie ends. And this was fun. I'm going to say, when it comes to this movie, it was pretty good. As you see, I think I think I have a theme for this. I mean, Hell Night I'm going for the more weirder choices, I think. I've decided to kind of do that for this. The horror comedies, the fun ones, like Hell Night, and maybe like Sorority House Massacre, which is on there. I'm not saying that I'll be one of them, but it's a slasher from the 80s-ish. I think it's from the 80s, 90s, whatever. And there's some other titles that could be considered goofy, weird, so. And it's also, I'll be delving into a different, there's some trauma titles on there. I don't know if I want to go that far into the batshit insane, but who knows? Who knows? But I might want to do at least one of them. But I've never seen the trauma movie. I've seen bits and pieces of Toxic Avenger, but that's it. So who knows? But yeah. So what are your thoughts on Tucker and Dale vs. Evil? For a first time watch, I might have to find the Blu-ray, because this was fun. This was a fun watch. I enjoyed this. So what are your thoughts on Tucker and Dale vs. Evil? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.